Hi everyone, I'm Ryan. I'm a researcher at the University of Nottingham. Today I'm going to briefly talk you through my EPS poster presentation from some work I did during my PhD. And this is titled Slightly Non-Frontal Faces are Represented More Precisely Than Frontal Faces. Viewpoints that are more precisely represented should be the ones that convey a behavioural advantage. There's probably also some kind of structural information that means that they're more precisely represented. So these are the ones that we should be considering for use in police lineups and in computational models. In macaques, more neurons are tuned to frontal and profile views, fewer are tuned to three-quarter views, so about 45 degrees, and even fewer are tuned to intermediate viewpoints. So theoretically, these views, frontal, profile, and to some degree three-quarter views, should have a more precise representation and should have a behavioural advantage. We captured photos across 19 viewpoints from frontal to profile in 5-degree increments, and then we warped these images using diffeomorph to have a range of warp levels. In the task, participants then had to identify which image, left or right, was the unwarped veridical image, and the warp level varied across trials using an adaptive staircase. So we had 120 trials per block across 76 blocks, and these are split into 4 categories. There were 10 participants, on average age sort of 26 to 27 years old. So the hypothesis was that thresholds for discriminating veridical from warped images should be lower for frontal, three-quarter, and profile views compared to intermediate views. Thresholds should be lower for upright faces than inverted faces, and the inversion effect should be greater for intermediate viewpoints due to relying on viewpoint interpolation. So we collapsed across left and right facing trials, just giving us 19 conditions for upright and 19 conditions for inverted stimuli. We then calculated the threshold, so this was the warp level at which participants were 75% accurate at the task for each of the viewpoints. And the results can be seen down here. The thresholds for upright stimuli are presented in blue, and the thresholds for inverted stimuli are presented in red. So we performed multiple linear regression to see if the data could be best explained by a linear or cosine fit, given the general increase in threshold as you move away from frontal. And we had a look at these with and without adding an M-shaped regressor, and this was based on our hypotheses. We also had a look at interfeature distances to see if they would predict the thresholds. So looking at the upright stimuli, which are represented in blue, the best model was an M plus cosine model. So a cosine curve with the M regressor added on top. But the M was inverted compared to our hypothesis. So thresholds were slightly lower for intermediate views than for frontal, three-quarter, and profile views. Okay, so the general increase in thresholds for more profile faces suggests that more frontal faces are more precisely represented. Contrary to our predictions, thresholds were slightly higher for frontal, three-quarter, and profile views than intermediate views. And this suggests that maybe the viewpoints that are processed with more precision aren't necessarily the ones that more neurons are preferentially tuned to. And moreover, the best viewpoint based on this to use in police lineups and computational models is slightly non-frontal, about 20 degrees. So thank you to my supervisors, thank you to the ESRC for funding my PhD, and thank you for my participants who sat through 8 hours of my experiment. And thank you all for listening, and please do get in touch if you have any questions.